All right, so let's walk through. So since last week, the painters worked in the garage. The landscapers came and took out all the bushes that are out here. So you can kind of see it's all empty right now. So before over here, this was like a bird fountain was over here, and then I think it was, let me see, there's like bushes over here. So it looked really bad. I don't want to deal with any maintenance, so I just got rid of all of that. I'll probably spray paint the bird fountain and then just call it a day for the front patio here. You can see there's some damage right here at the base of the house. I think down the road I'll paint that, but for now I'm just gonna let that ride and focus on the inside. Yeah, as you can see, all the plants are gone. They also painted this trimming up here. We had some weird holes and old doorbells there, so we got rid of that. Yeah, so the reason why there's so much stuff in the house right now, so on the right side, there's a patio table. The box on the far right, that's a ping pong table. And then the box in the middle, that's the Connect 4 for the backyard. All that is in the house because the flooring guy is not done with the garage and pool room. You can kind of see over here, it's just kind of crazy with all the chairs here. It's just, everything's here until the outsides are done. But this is more to show you guys that when you do your Airbnb setup, you know, you can take a whole month to do it, you know, try and do the rehab and what first, and then get the furniture. I've been trying to get everything done within like a week or two. So you can see it's kind of hectic with all the furniture inside the house. The TV's up there. Another key thing is you want to have enough chairs for everyone that could be occupied in your Airbnb. So I have at least 10 chairs for a dining table so that if a group of 10 want to stay, they can all eat together. And that's important. This small dining table here, I'm just going to add 4 new chairs here. These chairs right now kind of wobbly, so they'll probably break and, you know, someone's gonna be upset. So I'll get rid of those. And then the master, nothing too new, just the king beds there now. Ideally, you want to have king beds in all your rooms. If this house is older, so only this one's a king and the rest are queens. But you can imagine, you know, the average height of, you know, American or like, you know, tourist is like 5'9", 5'10". So having a bigger bed's ideal. If you have kids, kid rooms, then, you know, twins could be okay too. But, you know, I try to avoid having too small beds in case it's a big group of adults. So here's also something important to have. This is an owner's closet. You try to find the biggest closet that might be out of the way or somewhere that the cleaners can get to easily. This house is old, so the hallway door closet's kind of small. So this one's a lot bigger. You can see I built this little, it's like a $50 Target or Walmart shelf, and all the towels are there, extra sheets are there. So when cleaners come, they can just open this door and get what they need. So you can see all the stuff in there: tissues, soap, towels. And then another thing that's important is you want to have some kind of automated way, same for the guests to enter the house. You want something also, you know, automated or digital for the cleaner as well. So here I have an August lock here. That's something I had lying around, so I used it. But you can use anything you want for the cleaner because the code would be the same for the cleaner. Whereas I prefer Sludge on codes for the guests because my software integrates with it better. And the code would change automatically for those guests. Whereas for the cleaner, you just have 1 or 2 codes and they'd be good with that. Yeah, if I'm going too fast, is, you know, ask any questions or just type in the chat and I'll get to it. But yeah, this walkthrough, there's not too much new stuff since last time, except some of the setup. In the bathroom here, like I said last time, the quotes for new bathroom was between 5,000 to 8,000. I just had a guy come and paint the trim. So the trim was all like a weird wood, like dark brown trim. So he just painted the blue that's in the kitchen. And then I had a plumber come today to fix the shower and the faucet down there. Yeah, so that's fixed now, but in this video it's a little bit old. Yes, all the trims all blue now. And then the other bedroom is there's a queen in here. You know, the tables and the lamps all set up. So nothing too exciting there. But the key thing, like I said last time, is the, in my opinion, the biggest value add for price is having a TV in each room. Like everyone has a Netflix account or Hulu or whatnot, so they always want to watch something. So each room should have that. I think in the future I might add a TV for the pool room and game room, which we'll get to in a second. But the bedrooms and the living room definitely need to have a big TV, equivalent to the size of the room. So here the kitchen's all done. So he painted the cabinets, the handles, got new countertop. All the appliances are new except the fridge. And you can see it is painted. The sink's installed. You can also notice that next to the sink, I have a water spout there. That's because my refrigerator doesn't have a water dispenser. And being in Arizona, you definitely need to have some way for the guests can drink water. So I installed a filter under the sink, and then they have some cool clean water at the sink here. I think down the road during the summer I might need to buy a ice maker. I'm not too sure how hot Arizona's going to be during the summer, but right now I don't have a ice machine, so that's something in the back of my head I know I might need to get. And I guess in the future I would have someone add a water line to your refrigerator, but right now I'll skip it for now. So here's a table. I got this yesterday, and then the pool table over there, I had to unassemble it so that the epoxy flooring guy can do the work there. Furniture wise, I think that's an expense that a lot of folks underestimate how much it's going to cost. This dining table is pretty heavy. It takes like 3 people to carry and flip over. I think retail it's about $2,000, but I got this for like $600. I think each market there's some kind of discount store or someone that buys damaged furniture from either Costco or Walmart or Home Depot. This one, for example, you can see on the right the chair has clips on it. Let me zoom back a little bit. See how the chair on the right has some clips on it. So this chair actually it broke. That's why I guess Costco couldn't sell it. So I just got wood glue. I bought some clamps and just clamping it there. So basically, from this chair being broken, I got this table for like what is it, 65% off, or probably more, I guess, because it's like $2,000 retail, and with tax, that's about I don't know, $100 more with tax. But this was I think it was $650 with tax included. So really, the table was like $570. So that's pretty cheap table. Everything else is pretty much brand new. It's just that this chair was broken at the top here. So like if you lived here, maybe you want brand new furniture. Like Airbnb, as long as you have seats for everybody and it's functional and clean, then it's fine. But if you look closely at this chair, you'll see like a seam because it broke up there at the top. But that's a good way to kind of find discount furniture and furnish your whole Airbnb. And
so quick question. So you just got that as at a regular you said some store or like the big box store or like a discount place?
Yeah, so what I do is when I go to a new market, I try to find, there's people that have a business where they buy, broken or discounted furniture from Costco, Walmart, Home Depot. Typically, you can just go on either Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, and you start seeing certain people's accounts that have like hundreds of sales. And those people are, they're like, it's their business, right? It's like a little side hustle, right? It's not like, you and me that we have like there's an extra bed, I'm gonna sell it. Yeah, 1 review, right? But on OfferUp, they have like 100 reviews. They definitely have some kind of business. So I wish I found these guys earlier because I probably would have saved maybe $300 to $600 more because I paid like $400 to $500 for my bathroom air vents. But these places they had them for like $50, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just maybe the box is a little damaged, or Costco or Home Depot just had too many and they sold them for a discount, or they have returns. And a lot of times it's cheaper for Home Depot or Costco just instead of getting returns and putting them back on the shelf, they just throw them into a pallet and they sell these pallets for like $100 to these different people. So that's where you try to find discounts. And this is like I said, like over 70% off. Yeah, good question. Yeah, so the bathroom here, same thing. The only thing here that I still need to do is, I don't know about you guys, but when you travel to like hotels, a lot of times there's only one towel rack, and I just hate that. I don't know, like I don't know what you guys do, but like for me, there's only one towel rack. That means you gotta go to the closet, get a hanger, and dry your towel out there. I also don't like doing that. So you can see here, there's only one towel rack here. I bought a dual towel rack, so it's like 2 bars on the rack. So I'm gonna put that behind the toilet here. This bathroom's kind of small, so it's not an ideal spot, but if it's there, people will use it. And then I'll put a hook on the door, so at least that way there can be like 4 towels.
Hooks everywhere. That drives me crazy too. Like there should be hooks in the bedroom. There should be hooks at the door to hang your coat or whatever. There should be hooks in every single bathroom. I mean, hooks everywhere.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, that's one thing. Like that's one way where you as an Airbnb host can stand out, because the hotels is all standard, just one towel rack for like 6-8 people, right? So these are those small things that make things easier. Typically it's not too bad because the guests are just there for like 2 nights, so they can kind of handle it. But you definitely, when I go into my underwriting, you definitely want to find people that stay there for the whole week or like 5 days, and because there's only one cleaning, you don't have as much vacancy, and yeah, usually they're better guests to their families, and they're there to kind of travel around, not like party for 2 days, right? But yeah, so I'm gonna add some hooks in the dual towel rack over there. Here I just got my queen bed. All I need to do here is install the mount for the TV on the right. But this room is pretty much ready to go. And same for this one. It has a bed. All I need to do is set the TV, and then that one's done too. All right, so now going to the pool room. So here we're painting this room. So the floor, the epoxy guys, they primed the floor. So they were going to come today, but we're still painting this room, so they're coming tomorrow. And then hopefully, today's Thursday, they'll come tomorrow if that's Friday. And then it takes about 2 to 3 days for the epoxy to like fully, set. So that means I can't really put the furniture here until Monday. So hoping to do a deep clean Monday, photography, and then I guess go live maybe Tuesday. So we'll see. But yeah, so he's gonna paint the walls here. It's gonna be like a brighter blue. That was my original color for the kitchen cabinets, but my sister said it was too bright. So I think the game room's okay to be brighter. It's Airbnb, not your house. So being a little bit wild with the colors is okay. So here's a backyard. I was hoping that it would be done by today, but they got kind of a late start. So they got rid of all the grass that was back here. I spray paint that shed in the back there. And then you can see the team's installing the gravel right now. So tomorrow they'll install the putting green grass. So it's gonna be like a 4-hole putting green back here. They're gonna add a little like 4-foot cylinder block wall around this pool filter. And then there's 2 trees in the back there. They're gonna get rid of those 2 trees as well. So it'll be a lot cleaner. Back here, I had the guys paint these cylinder walls back here. I think this weekend, so I like painting, be more creative. So I'm gonna try to paint the murals probably this weekend. Probably some cactus on the right-hand side, something simple and somewhat like vector art. And then on this side, my partner Tenzin, he said to put the Phoenix Suns logo or whatnot back there. So I'm gonna do that. Yeah, it'll be a fun project because that Suns logo is kind of pixelated. I'll send pictures once I'm done with that. But the idea is the blocks are all kind of, the blocks, I'll probably pixelate them into 4 little squares. And then it might look a little bit better. I try to have a guide to like fill in the gaps with these cylinder blocks back here, but you can still see them. So I usually paint indoors against drywall where it's all smooth and flat. But I think this weekend I'll try to see how it goes with something that's not completely flat. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But tomorrow hopefully they finish all the gravel and they install the putting green. And then the bush that was over here, they got rid of that. So everything's done with that. The last room is the garage. So it was all like dirty brick here. So we kind of gave this the same scheme. So it's white and then this blue. The floor is covered up because we're trying to fix the ceiling right now. You can kind of see in the top left, there's some seams from the drywall that was kind of dripping. So we're trying to repair that. I was going to have a guy, take out the popcorn ceiling, but I think he was kind of upset that it's taking so long to paint. So he's like, he quoted me higher this time. So I'm like, all right, forget it. Just finish painting and move on. So definitely down the road, maybe I'll get rid of the popcorn ceiling because it'll make it more modern. But for the Airbnb guests, I don't think they're complaining too much. As long as it's clean, like I said, and it's only dirty, then it's good to go. One thing I'm trying to figure out what to do with the handyman is that even though this garage seems pretty bright, it's only one light. So that light you see in the top middle, that's the only light for the whole garage. On the left side is going to be a ping pong table, and on the right, I have 2 arcade games to install. I think down the road, I might put like a foosball or more games here. We'll see how much space there is. But I'm a little worried that that one light might be too bright, or that garage door motor might have too much shadow on that side. You can kind of see it's kind of dark in the middle bottom. So the handyman, he bought these 2 long LED light fixtures. So I might have him install that tomorrow on both sides, but we'll see. I think it's bright enough, but I don't like it too much. So probably add more lighting for that. But yeah, so yeah, I was thinking of having lamps there. It's just that this garage has like no outlets. So I need to have the handyman like run one wire through these brick, because this wall is all brick. So it's gonna be kind of tough to run electrical down there. But yeah, I was looking at doing lamps too. But the fixtures, I got a pretty good deal on them. It was only like $30 per light fixture, and it's pretty bright. So I might just go with that. Yeah. So that's pretty much the update on the house. I was hoping it'd be done 100%, but it is an example that you might think it'll take a week or 2, but there's always delays with everything. But I'm pretty sure I'll go live Monday or Tuesday next week. It's the flooring guys took a lot longer, and the painting guys, they didn't really coordinate too well. I had to go and kind of negotiate with them and say like, hey man, like the guy can't paint when you're doing up the floor, and vice versa. Like, can you guys do one guy do the garage room, one do the pool room, and they just didn't do that. All right, Mike says, do you need a pool permits to make a living space, or is it a game room? Yeah, so this is a game room. I don't have a bed in here. I think you do need to have a permit for that. And then I guess insulate it correctly and make sure there's 2 ways to leave the room in case there's a fire. But yeah, this is a game room, so nothing really needed. I think the only permit I would have gotten was to make the back wall higher. Right now it's kind of low, it's only like 5 feet, but I think you need a permit for over 7 feet, so I think I'm gonna that case too. But yeah, there's no beds in this room. It's just gonna have a ping pong table, and then arcade games, and down the road maybe I'll get a foosball table. If I find a cheap one this weekend, I might just get it. But yeah, I'm just trying to go live and then add to it. I think a lot of people they try and make it perfect when they go live. I think the main thing is you just gotta be better than everyone else. And most people, like, they're just okay or just slightly above average. So as long as you stand out with the amenities, the games, the pool or whatnot, then you get booked. And as time goes on, your guests will give you feedback like, oh, like I wish you had this, I wish you had that. Then you can make it more perfect. But it'll just take too long. And each week you don't go live, you're just losing revenue, right? Yeah, so that's pretty much the garage here with the blue. But yeah, that's pretty much the walkthrough of the progress. I don't think I'll have a 3rd walkthrough. I think you guys kind of get the gist of what's going on. But I'll definitely post pictures once it's done, and you can see the final product and also the listing. Let's see. Testium says, a place to hang your purse and keys. Yeah, I think I'll ask kind of hooks and a table next to the door. It's just that right now there's all those boxes in the way. You can kind of see. Let's see right here. Yeah, you can see the boxes are there right now, but I'm gonna have the closet. You can hang stuff there, and then I'm gonna hang a mirror on the right hand side so you can kind of see themselves before they leave the house. But yeah, it's just hectic right here because everything's inside the house until the flooring's done. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on the walkthrough of the house, like my thought process? One last thing is, the front door has the slash on code. You can kind of see the box on the top right here. So this one's a digital lock. It'll change the code for each guest and make the code only work for that time frame. But in case the battery dies or the guest just can't get in for some reason, you should have a lockbox somewhere next to the front door, so that worst case, you just tell them, okay, here's the code for this lockbox. Take the key out, unlock the door, and then just make sure they put the key back there. You want to make it as automated as possible. So if they get locked out and they have an issue, they have a way to get in, and you don't need to go and send someone out there. especially if it's like midnight and like, getting someone out there is very tough. I just get I think it's like master box. I think it's like 40 or 50 bucks from Home Depot. There's one where you can screw it into the wall, and there's one that's like has a brace so that you can hook it around like a metal bar. So both of those are are good. And Mike C asks, we consider installing party prevention devices, pros and cons. Yeah, so I have a camera in the front here. So let me zoom back a little bit right here. So there's a ring camera here, so I can kind of see who's coming in. And then once the floor is done, I'm gonna have a handyman install a camera in the garage. So basically this view I have right here is kind of where the camera's gonna be, facing this side door in the garage, so I can kind of see who's coming in. And then for the patio, I'm thinking of putting it, so I'm not sure you guys can see it, but on the left middle, there's a little white box there. So that's an outlet. So I'm planning to put it there and hang it kind of in the corner, like where I'm standing right here, to kind of face the door and the windows. The handyman, the guy I have, he always needs me to convince him to do something, right? So he was like, hey, like, let's put the camera outside facing the pool. And I said, I don't want my guests, getting all freaked out by like a camera facing them. I think it's not, I don't know, as a guest, I wouldn't like that, right? I think if you put it here, you still kind of see the pool a little bit, but it's not as creepy, and it's more for security, just for, you don't see someone breaking into the back. But in terms of sound and loudness, there's a couple of devices you can install. I had one before. It was okay. It's just that we got a lot of, false positives. And then when it happens, you can send someone out there. But I think one of my Airbnbs in Houston, we had some, parties, and I guess that could have helped. But even if you have it, you can message the guests, they might ignore it. And the next step is just to like call the police, right? That example, we actually had the neighbors call us. Like they found an Airbnb and they like messaged us and was like, hey, like you guys have, your people are partying, they have like guns outside, like stuff like that. So I think you can have those devices and it might, alert you when something's going on. And then you have to go call the police or whatnot, or call your security team, right? But I think for me, it's really about prevention. So in the beginning, when you have like no reviews, you might be more open to booking everybody, right? But once you have like 20, 30 reviews, you get more inquiries to book, and you can be more selective. So you want to just book people to have like, 5, 10 5-star reviews. All reviews are good. And that way you prevent having any headache, because you book someone that has issues, even with those equipment, then you just have to deal with, calling the police or something like that. I don't want to deal with that. So for the most part, that's also why I target trying to have a family Airbnb, because you just have kids that might like pee on stuff or break some stuff here and there. But, the family won't like party, like, a bunch of like 30-year-old guys or, bachelor party, right? So, but yeah, there's different, noise detector machines you can get. There's also a product where it checks how many phones are, logged into your Wi-Fi. And if it's more than like, how many guests that can stay there, then it tells you, hey, like maybe a party's going on because there's 12 phones, logged into his Wi-Fi. But there's also like a false positive, because maybe the person has like a laptop and 2 phones, an iPad, right? And then it's a false alarm. So yeah, I would just say like try to prevent that in the first place. Okay. I think we're good on time. That's about half an hour. So I'm gonna spend the last half an hour on underwriting and kind of my thought process here. So here's kind of a calculator I made. I can share with you guys later if you guys want. I might need to tweak things just because I use it so much that I know what everything means, but and there's some things that doesn't make sense to some of you. But yeah, let me walk through this. So the first row is this the years, for example. So this is how I'm comparing. I bought this in 2020. If I bought it in 2022, what would the price be? And then doing STR versus long-term rental, right? So I bought this around 350. I think right now it'll price around 450-ish, I think. So if you bought it right now, it'll probably be just around this price, maybe a bit more. When you do the rehab, LTR is definitely cheaper. Here I only put like 10,000 because all I had to do was put in new flooring, change some light fixtures. It was about 10,000. That was how it looked like in my first video. Right now I spend about I spent like 20,000 more since when I set up the LTR. So it's about 30 grand. I think if you update the kitchen and the bathroom to like brand new cabinets and countertop and resurface the pool, then you're easily going to hit like 70, 80K really easily. And also you buy furniture brand new, you probably hit that easily too. But I've been trying to find like used or like highly discounted furniture. Interest rate, this is back in 2020, so it's actually pretty low. I think right now it's about 5, it's probably like 6% now, but just throwing those numbers in for now. Down payment, so I bought this 20% down, but as I got more experience, there's ways that you can buy as a second home at 10% down, and you need to pay PMI, which is property and mortgage insurance. So I'll talk about that when I get to that column, that row. Down payments here. Can I see down payments higher when I put 20% down? That makes sense. Closing cost. So appraisal gap, this is more for like the last 2 years when bidding was going crazy. I think right now, if you try to buy something, you probably won't have appraisal gap, so you can ignore this. But you know, if you ever had to include that, then here's a column, a row for that. Closing cost, that's a 3%. Holding months. So this is something that's I think is pretty important to like consider. I think a lot of people, they don't have enough cash reserves to do the rehab and also pay the mortgage. So for example, say you buy something and you spend a month renovating it, you don't have any tenants. So you need to pay the first mortgage, insurance, everything out of pocket the first month, right? So for example, in this case, if it takes a month to like rehab, then out of pocket, you gotta pay like, either 2 or 2,000, 1,000 based on your interest rate and whatnot. But a lot of folks forget this and they don't have enough money to do the rehab and pay the mortgage. So just keep that in mind. Row 19, this is important. This is how much cash you need out of pocket to do this. It could be a little bit lower if you plan to use like a credit card to buy some things. But just make sure you're able to pay off the credit card later on, also you're being like a lot of debt. This one's a little confusing. I was trying to tweak this week, so it makes more sense to you all. But essentially, there's different terms that you can use for the rent, the vacancy, occupancy, or whatnot. I just think terminology-wise, usually vacancy you use for midterm and long-term rentals. For short-term rentals, we usually use the phrase occupancy. So in this case, the 2 right columns is long-term rental. So I had a special property manager try to do co-living, and when someone moved out, they moved in quickly just for that room. So the vacancy is actually pretty low for that method. But usually for long-term, you might have maybe a month of vacancy on average. Just be conservative. So put 8% here in case something happens, they gotta move out and it takes a month to like renovate and put someone in. But for STRs, we typically use a formula that's multiplying ADR, which is average daily rate. That's pretty much how much the nightly rate is on average for the whole year. I try to break it down by season because some seasons you might, in this case, I think the average could be around 400, maybe 500. But during peak season, it might be a bit higher than that. It might be like, $600-700 on the weekends, and then maybe like 400, 500 during the weekdays. That's pretty much springtime in Arizona. But during the summer, it's so hot, no one wants to vacation there. So you might just get booked on the weekend for like, $300, right? So you try and calculate this, per season or per month. But for this view, it's just the average of the whole year. And the occupancy, same thing, like during peak season, it might be like 60, 80, 90%, right? But during low season in the summer, shorter season, you might be only booked on the weekends. So for that month, maybe just 8 days out of 30 days, that's like what, 20, 30%, right? So this number is kind of hard to visualize just from the screen, but you try to break it down by season and it'll be a lot clearer. What a lot of people do that I see, and they make this mistake, is that they might look and say like, oh, like, what's the ADR for the past 3 months in Arizona? And it just so happened to be peak season, which is springtime. And they're like, oh, look, they grossed like, 60 grand in like, 4 months. So, 4 months times, 3, I can gross like 100, 30, 40,000, right? But that's not the case. That's only because you're using numbers from the peak season. So that's where these numbers come from. And I'll try to break it down more. Then this is the rent. So it's basically your income for the month. So for short-term rentals, it's pretty much just ADR, times how many days in the year, right? 365 times occupancy. So that's where this number comes from. And like I said, this number is average, right? During peak season, this might be like double. And then during the summer, maybe like 1,000, 2,000. It's like almost, it's very little, right? And then long term, this is more consistent, right? It's just market rent. So it's about, 3,000 in this area. So you can kind of see that's the kind of, the attractive part of short-term rentals is that your rent could be double, maybe triple like your long-term rents. In Tempe, long-term rentals is actually a pretty strong market, so it's only double, but in other markets, it might be triple, so it just depends. And you can kind of see the gross income is double, right? It's this rent times 12 months. Everything here is pretty straightforward: loan, mortgage payment, property tax, whatnot. But here on roll 32, this is the PMI. I think mine was about 1% when I got a smaller did a smaller down payment. So you gotta make sure you account for this because in this case, you got PMI because you could get a 10% down vacation home loan. So right here, see the down payment is 10%. So upfront costs would be a little bit lower, but each month you'd be paying a couple hundred more. So in this case, it's about 100. What is that? 150 more each month. This is if you bought it in 2020. But if you bought it in 2022, it's about $60 more each month. So in the long run, it's not too crazy, but you gotta make sure you account for this because if you're trying to have, if you're like, oh, I'm gonna get like 15% cash in cash, but you forget about the PMI, you forget about some expenses here and there, your cash in cash might be cut in half. So just be careful with that. Here's insurance, HOA. There's no HOA in this property. Most short-term rental, markets, you try to avoid HOA because they might kick you out. But there's some where it's zoned and approved for commercial nightly rental, so they might have an HOA for like the yards and whatnot. So some cases it's okay, but usually if it's like a gated community, a lot of families, the HOA is going to shut down your Airbnb really quickly. I actually had a friend that she actually got made good amount of money this summer for her STR, but had HOA, and then one guest did something bad and the neighbors told on her and then it got shut down. And it's kind of, I don't know, you gotta be careful because I think she bought it like this year and then she's gotta sell it because it's not cash flowing without STR income. So just kind of, when you see this view, you can kind of see that worst case, STR fails, I go back to long-term or medium-term rentals and I'm still cash flowing. In her case, it only cash flowed as STR, so you just gotta be careful that if it doesn't work out, then you have an exit strategy. But in true vacation markets, like I'm in Branson, Missouri, a lot of my friends are in the Smoky Mountains. That's true vacation. You're not going to have any long-term rentals there. So I guess that in those cases, you just gotta make sure you know what you're doing for short-term rentals. Here's just having some reserves. I like being conservative. Some people, they don't have anything here for any repairs or maintenance. I think that's kind of crazy because you're gonna have repairs down the road, and if you don't do this, you're end up just breaking even. So here in this case, I have about 8% because some guests, they might break something and they might not tell you, and your cleaner might not tell you until like later on you come check the house and things are broken, so you gotta pay to fix stuff. You might also need to pay to get new furniture, so that's why it's a little bit higher for short-term rentals. Usually LTR may be a little bit lower, but sometimes people are conservative and put 8% for long-term rentals as well. Okay, so here's also a big thing people forget to do is that your expenses for STR is way higher than long-term rentals. So in this case here, landscaping, maybe for long-term, you can just get away with a little bit here and there. But if people are coming to your house and like paid, $1,000, $2,000 to stay at your Airbnb and your outside trees are all not trimmed and looks really bad, they're not going to be happy about that, right? But if you have long-term tenants, they don't really care too much. Cleaning also is something you got to consider. The number up here, so the 78,000, that's gross. That's what Airbnb or VR might be paying you out total, right? But some of that money has to go to cleaning as well, right? So in this case, I think each turn would be about 280. I actually need to get more quotes because I got some in the 300s. So I got to figure out like, are they better cleaners or whatnot? But you can expect about, maybe 5 turns a month, maybe each weekend, and maybe once during the week, maybe more. So definitely you got to figure out how much your cleans are going to cost. I can talk more about this in the future, but the cleaner is your most important team member, because if they don't clean very well or they forget to come and your guests show up, then you're pretty much screwed. Like you don't want to have a guest come and be like, and message you and say, hey, like it's not clean. And cleaning might take like 4 to 5 hours, right? So then you gotta tell them, oh, I'm sorry, let me refund you for this night. Let me give you, $300 back, or whatever it is, right? And you gotta have someone come that night to come clean it, and then it's just a headache, right? So if you find a cheap cleaner, they might look good on paper, but you need someone that like something might happen and you got to tell them, hey, like, can you show up and fix this? Like this light's broken, this battery's missing. I had a guest today say like, hey, Chris, it's a weird request, but I ordered Instacart food and it got shipped to the house, but I'm not going to be there for like 3 hours. Can you move the food inside for me? And so as a guest, as a host, you want to try to, tend to your guests, right? Well, I'm like, like a 5-hour flight from that Airbnb. So I'd ask my cleaner, hey, like, you have someone nearby that can like move this food in. And then we just charge, the guests like 25, $50 to move the food inside the refrigerator. And the cleaner's like, oh yeah, let me find someone. And then they took care of it, right? So the guests, they can't really give you a bad review for like not putting their food in the refrigerator, right? But that's kind of a guaranteed, hopefully 5-star review, and it'll help you get, more bookings and higher payouts in the future. So definitely have a good cleaner is important. Water and sewer. So when I had long-term rental tenants, they paid for the water. If you do Airbnb, you got paid for yourself. So I don't think it'd be $250, but I'm just being conservative. Garbage here. Electricity, this is also something people forget. My tenants would pay electricity, but since you're the Airbnb host, you got paid yourself. So 550 is pretty high. It should be more around 300 or 400. But I'm just being conservative. Like you don't know, like maybe the air is blasting during the summer and it's like $1,000. Like you don't know what's gonna happen, right? So let's be conservative with that. And then same with Wi-Fi and some management stuff here. So right here, line 49, you can see expenses are like 10 times what long-term rentals would be. So even though the annual gross revenue would be potentially double or triple of long-term rentals, your expenses are a lot higher. So just make sure you don't forget the utilities up here. Yeah, so Testing asked about the 3% Airbnb expense. Yeah, I kind of added that to this up here a little bit. But yeah, I guess if you want to be more conservative, you can add 3% down here too. And just to be sure, because what you want to avoid is, making your numbers, like forcing numbers to work. I'll show you in a second, but you just want to avoid like, oh, like I buy this at this price. If everything goes perfectly well and the tenants always turn the lights off, don't run the water, don't take showers, don't turn the AC on, I'll make this much money, right? You don't want to, force numbers to work. So just try to be more conservative. So there's a NOI. So here's the monthly cash flow. So when I was doing long-term rentals, my cash flow is about 1,000, maybe a little bit less based on what happened, but I was kind of making this before. So my cash and cash was about 15%. During STRs now, it'll be about, maybe close to 2,000, maybe more if I manage very well. You can kind of see like as a long-term rental, you're kind of capped around this 1,000 per month cash flow. But then with Airbnb, maybe after the first year, you optimize and have a lot of reviews and you just market a lot better. You could bump this to like 2,000, 2,500, maybe 3,000, right? Especially if up here, this repair and maintenance, I put 8%. Maybe I'm good where if something's broken, I can bill back to the guest because they broke it, right? It's like same as a hotel, right? So that would make this, more consistently around like 2,500 per month. So yeah, you can kind of see the numbers here. So this refresh column E, this is doing long-term with the purchase price of 2020. If I did long-term right now, right, long-term in 2022, which is, a higher price, I'll just be losing money. Maybe break even if I manage it better. That's kind of, with hot markets, with long-term rentals, you're really break even. And then in this case, column B, this is if you bought it, this year, but in short-term rentals, and you can kind of see you might have a 10% cash and cash. But see, if you don't do well, right, and you go back to long-term rental, then you're negative cash flow. So you just gotta, keep that in mind that I bought this 2 years ago, and my mortgage and whatnot's a lot cheaper. So if you buy it now, then you're gonna be stuck with a 10% cash and cash STR or a negative cash flowing long-term rental. So that's how you can look at the risk of doing STR, buying something just for STR, right? The last quick thing I'll touch on, and this is probably something that that might take an hour to discuss. But a lot of people, they like STRs because there's a way to get a cost segregation study, which is essentially separating every part of your house and depreciating certain things faster than other parts of the house. And that way you can have a bigger deduction, higher depreciation, right? Whereas if you do a long-term rental, it's a standard 3.6%, over the 27 whatever years it is, right? So you can kind of see here, this is kind of an average. On average, it's about I think 22% of the value of the building. You can't depreciate land; it's just the building materials. And then the 65% here, I think that was that's like your tax rate, because you're basically going to depreciate, not pay taxes on it. So in these two columns, B and C, potentially you can, if you do this all correctly, you can depreciate 60 to 50,000 against your W-2 income and get cash refund. So these houses aren't too expensive, so you might only get like maybe 20 or 15 grand from this cost against bonus depreciation. But I had friends that their houses are worth like over $1 million and their cash refunds like 40, 50K, right? So that's a lot of money. You can just get that refund and then buy more houses with it. So that's kind of what people like about this is to get the refund and then have more cash liquid right now to buy more properties, versus you do long term, you can't wait to get this bigger cash refund. So like 3,000, that's still a lot of money, but you can't buy a house with that, right? Like if you had like 30 or 40 grand refund, then you can get another down payment and buy another house. So this is something I'm gonna do for the first time this calendar year. And once I do that, I'll share my results. But yeah, Tenzing and I were getting a cost study right now. We need to track our hours, because to prove that you can get this bonus depreciation, you have to prove that you have material participation. Sorry, I can't talk right now. And running this short-term rental, it's almost like an active business, because you need to have active income to offset active. You need to have active income, and this would be active depreciation against your W-2, which is also active income, right? So that's where a lot of folks are able to get a lot of cash back and have almost zero income, because they're depreciating and canceling out their W-2 income. But yeah, I'll have more information about this in the future. I think this is something to know in the back of your head of why people like STRs. This cost seg and bonus depreciation, it's the same concept that people use in commercial real estate. So right now, Arthur and I, we're working on, buying warehouses, and, we'll probably do this if you decide to keep the house or the building longer. If you do this and you sell it, you got to pay back your, the taxes, because you basically are saying like, you're going to depreciate this and then, keep the house for, until it's, 30 years or whatever it is. But you can't double dip. Like you can't do the cost seg, bonus depreciate, get this cash back, and then also sell the house and keep that money. You got to pay that back. So this conversation is a lot deeper, but this is just something to keep in the back of your head of why people like doing STRs, and how, getting this cash refund, that means you have less cash in NGL. So your cash and cash return goes up a little bit. So in this case, it goes up maybe, I don't know, was this like 5% or whatnot. And then if you don't do the cost second bonus depreciation because you're doing a long-term rental, then your cash is almost the same because not much cash is coming back. So that's pretty much the underwriting here. I think the main takeaways, like I said, is be conservative with your numbers. Like things might change. Like maybe your cleaner says one day, "Hey Chris, like I quoted you 280, but your house is a lot more work. It's actually gonna be like 350, right?" I think charging a guest 350 for cleaning is kind of crazy. So you gotta find a way to talk to the cleaner, like, hey, like what can I do to make it easier for you? Or if I had like hardwood floors instead of carpet, would that be easier to clean? Stuff like that. Same for like electricity, like you might be living there and paying it yourself. So maybe at home, you might just turn a fan on. Maybe you just, suffer through the heat, but your guests on vacation, they're gonna blast the AC. Like I think our Houston Airbnb, and we try to like, cap it at like 70 degrees during the summer. All the guests complain. They're like, "Hey man, I'm from California. I need 65." So they just blast AC like all night, all day, leave the doors open, everything, right? So you definitely got to be conservative with all these utilities here because you as a host is paying for that. So any questions? Okay, I see Mike has a question. To increase occupancy during the off season, why don't you drop the rate so it's low enough to book more during that time? Yeah, so you can lower the rate. The problem is sometimes the rate is low, but you also get lower class tenants, lower class guests. So in my experience, I try to keep things kind of like a premium. Like I think the lowest for me would be like $250 a night, and I want to have at least you staying there for 2 days, right? So I think my smallest payout would be like like 700, 750, right? If you do low occupancy rate, low daily rate, you might get some guests that like, they just drove in that day and they need this place to stay, and they're like, "Oh, this one's cheap," and they'll book you, but then they're not the cleanest. They also don't keep the house as nicely. Like sometimes, if you think about it, like if you have money, you live in a nice apartment, a nice house, you travel, you respect the area because you have a nice place yourself, right? Some guests are a little bit, don't have the nicest place to live in. They might go to Airbnb, a hotel, and they might, at home, they're a little bit dirty. That place is not nice, so they don't really care too much. They might do the same thing at your Airbnb. So almost all the guests that I lower the daily rate for, they're the ones that like my cleaners complain about. Like they say, "Hey Chris, like this guest didn't clean this out. Like there's like guacamole on the carpet. There's like food all over the place. Like these people have like weed and they're smoking, they have guns," right? So usually when you have a higher daily rate, you kind of filter out those type of guests. But yeah, I think if you want to try to increase your revenue during those off seasons, you can try to play with either having less minimum night stays or lowering your daily rate, but then you also get lower class tenants, I guess, in my opinion. I think if you calculate the daily rate for peak versus non-peak, I think for me, for Arizona, in the springtime, I expect to gross like maybe 60 grand, which is almost it's like most of my revenue, right? Because during off season, I might just only get booked during the weekends only, right? So you might want to think about like, okay, if I don't get booked on the summer, is that okay? Like maybe I stay there myself. My friends come, we go stay there for like a month or a weekend or a week in Arizona, right? And I just use it myself, right? But if I have someone stay there, like 150 a night, and they trash the place, and or even not just trash the place, but like maybe they're just making the walls dirtier. Maybe they like lean back on the chairs and the chairs get kind of tweaked a little bit. Making that $100 or $200 just to like have someone stay there, but your house gets a bunch of wear and tear, to me is not really worth it. And you can kind of see like if I expect 60K from peak season and just like 25, 30K during off season, just getting booked the weekends, like I'm okay with that. Yeah, good question. We're almost out of time. Anyone else have any other questions? Like I said, I want to cap this at 1 hour. Everyone's busy, so try to do it quick and answer any questions. But any other questions? Okay, yeah, Mike, if you have any more questions, to reach me, just reach out. And like I said in the beginning, everything I know for STRs, yeah, I read some books, I follow forums, but a lot of it I learned from someone else. Like Alex, he had webinars like this back in the day. My friends had webinars, or they just, you know, share content and information. So definitely we're all in this together. You know, ask me questions. Once you have, you know, more Airbnbs or your first one, you might learn something and tell me, and I'll learn something from you, right? So it's all just about community and, you know, being super hosts together, right? Okay, and nothing else, then yeah, I'll be, this is recorded, so I'll post this later, and in a week I'll go live and I'll share it with everybody, and you know, any feedback's welcome. But yeah, thanks for joining, and you know, have a good night, everyone.